So I'm Katie Austin. I'm an actor and filmmaker in the San Francisco Bay Area. My first film I made was Aubergine, which we made in 2020 during the pandemic, another fun shutdown we've had recently. And it did the festival circuit, and we just got distribution in April. So if you're interested in watching that, you can actually go to the link in my profile, find Aubergine, and check that out. And then CJ, I'm going to read your little bio, and then I want you to tell us a little bit more about yourself. But Connie Jo is an accomplished American actress, an Emmy-nominated producer from San Jose, California. So let's take a moment for that. And your work has been recognized at festivals like South by Southwest, Tribeca, and other Academy qualifying festivals around the world. Can you talk a little bit more about kind of the kinds of projects that you're interested in and most passionate about?
I do all types of formats, short and feature. I'm mainly geared towards short films, just because they're a lot easier to undertake. You know, you can do a short film in a weekend, takes less money, less crew, less everything. And I fully believe that short films are very important storytelling wise. But love features as well, and I just started kind of getting more into feature films. I helped out with a feature film called Good Side of Bad recently. That's all about, you know, mental health awareness. And then I just did a feature film called To Die Alone, which has a lot of different themes associated with that, but it's about identity and becoming comfortable in your own skin, and it's done in a very unique way. As I'm talking, both of those projects have a lot of mental health awareness themes associated with them, and those are the types of projects that I like to do. I have a family history of depression and just mental disorders going on in my family, and so I feel like being an advocate and a voice for those people is very important to me. And I've dealt with my own ups and downs as well as just a person and a filmmaker. And I feel like mental health is not really talked about in our society a lot. And when it is talked about, it's talked about very negatively, like there's something wrong with you if you have mental health issues. But everybody has mental health issues in their own way. We all deal with it. And so I gear towards most of those stories that delve into that topic and try to help bring a light to this issue and try to help people with dealing with their mental issues. So those are the type of films I like doing.
And you produce films. Are you generally looking for films to produce in that genre, or are you making your own work that you're then taking? Are you looking for work from other people? Can see people submit stuff to you and see if you're interested?
Yes, I do both. Right. Yes, I'm always looking for projects. So I work with a company called Charming Stranger Films. We're a San Francisco based company. It's a very small boutique company, but we are always looking for films to help produce. So if anybody is interested, has something that they've just been wanting to do for a long time, they don't know where to begin, they need a team of people to support them and get their projects made, go to charmingstrangerfilms.com, and you can definitely contact me through there and we can chat, pitch your idea, and we'll read your script and we'll see if it's something that aligns with us. And then I do personally, outside of my company, produce independently as well. But yeah, and then I'm always making my own stuff because it's just, I'm also an actress, and that is the reason why I got into producing, was to try to help my acting career. Because like actors, I got sick of going to auditions constantly or waiting around for things to happen. And I'm like, why don't I just take my network of people that I've associated with over the years and make something together, and then I can act in it, and then I can explore different characters, and I can, create my own stuff. And that's kind of what delved me into producing, because you have to essentially put your team together and figure out locations and gear and all this kind of stuff. And then people got the word out that I was producing, and then I was like, oh, okay. And then I started getting calls and emails. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe this is a path I should explore. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And I will call out that that's how we met as well, was that I heard about Cameo, who's Charming Stranger as well. And I was just really inspired by the work that she had done and the distribution that she got. And so I reached out to her. I didn't realize that I was pitching myself. But I just was really interested in her journey. So I was telling her
Mm-hmm.
about Aubergine. And through that conversation, she was like, oh, you should really work with my producer. And then she introduced me to you. And that's how, we started working together. So,
Yes. Yeah.
like get out there, tell people about your work. And if you're interested in working with CJ, obviously reach out, do it, pitch.
Yeah, I mean, pitch your idea. I mean, we might love it. We might be like, it's not really aligned with what we want to do, but
Totally.
keep
And
on
not
pitching anything, like if this
totally.
isn't the project, maybe the next one is. You just don't know.
And not being aligned doesn't mean that your project is not good,
Right.
right? It's like
Right.
people want to take on certain types of projects. For me, I'm really interested in producing things about sex positive relationships, like
Hmm.
non-traditional relationship stuff. And those are the only things I'm really interested in taking on. So, everyone has their thing.
Right. We all have our little niche that we want to explore and do, and our passions and our values and stuff like that. And I think also people have to realize, a producer, most producers, well, at least myself, I'm on the project from the very beginning till the very end. So it's not just like a month commitment sort of thing. Like the development of a project, the production of it, and then the distribution side of things, like the festival runs, all those things. It takes a lot of time and effort. So it's like, I have to really be passionate about this film or this story that we're creating together, because I'm going to be on this project essentially probably for about 2 or 3 years,
Yeah. And
even
I think,
for a short film.
mhm.
So
Yeah, a 10-minute film, and you were worked on it for 3 years with me. So.
right, and I'm still posting promotional stuff about it. I'm still like, I did a film, short film 2 years ago, and it's still getting into festivals, and so I'm still going to festivals, and I'm still like posting about it on my social media. I'm still helping the filmmakers with distribution ideas and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, my time as a producer is not just kind of like a weekly or monthly hire sort of thing. It's definitely a lifetime commitment.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Totally. Not just a project, which is great.
Yeah.
Or terrible, depending how that goes.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, I want to go ahead and kind of frame this around the kinds of things that we're going to be talking about today, just for context, and then we'll dig into questions. So we're going to talk about how to build your network and experience to create your own work, how to market yourself the right way, creating your own content, which is kind of the overarching thing that we're going to talk about, how to start doing that, producing, fundraising, and then what you've learned on kind of both sides of the camera. Mm-hmm. And then the last thing, which I think a lot of people were really excited to hear about, was just self-care through that process.
Yeah,
So,
because mental health. Yeah.
mental health, it's a real thing, particularly in this industry.
Yes.
For anyone who is here on the live with us, please throw your questions in the chat. We can see them as they come up, and I'll add those to our list of questions to ask, or just hang out and listen to our journey as we go through it. So, CJ, tell me, how did you get into producing? Like, what was that first project?
Yeah, so producing, like I said, I was already in the industry as an actor, so I've already kind of established a network of people that I liked working with constantly, or that was constantly hiring me on their film projects through acting. And yeah, I just, one day I just got ideas in my mind, and I'm like, why am I sitting with this? Why am I waiting to get cast in this zombie flick when I can just make my own zombie flick? Things like that. And I would just contact all of the networks and all the people that I've met through my acting and be like, hey, I have an idea. Do you maybe want to write it? And then I can help like put the pieces together. And that's how I just kind of started creating stuff. And one of my first projects that I did with a collaborative group of people was actually a zombie movie. And I made it at my dad's property. My dad was like rebuilding his house at the time, so it was like perfect setting for a zombie apocalypse kind of world. And my dad was actually a zombie in the film too. It was really funny. But yeah, I just grabbed people that just wanted to create and make things, and I'm sure we made it for like probably like less than $1,000, and submitted it to a few local festivals and just had a really fun time just collaborating and creating with each other. So that's just kind of how I started producing. And then of course I would, work with another group of people and collaborate with them, and then produce a little short film. Or I would get involved with the 48-hour film challenges. Those are always really fun to do. They're a lot of work and you will be exhausted at the end of the challenge, but it is so fun. And then you get to meet all these other people and collaborate with them, and you're putting all of your heart and soul into like this little thing that you're doing within 48 hours. And it's amazing what you can achieve.
Yeah. Well, what is it that you love about producing specifically? Like, coming from the acting world, that's a very different skill set, right?
Yes. So I'll first tell you what I don't like about it. I don't like the paperwork. As a producer, there's a lot of logistical stuff that a producer has to do, especially when you're on a lower budget project. I'm normally everything, right? I'm not just a producer. I'm the location manager. I'm the line producer. I'm the UPM. And of course, people might not understand these terms, but you can look up these terms. But those are essentially positions that help the producer out. And if you're at a higher production level, you can have lower positions below you, like a co-producer or associate producers or line producers, that will kind of just do stuff for you, which is wonderful. Because as a producer, what I like is the creative side of producing. Mm-hmm. I like working with the director on their script, honing in on their story, their vision, hiring the right crew to make that vision happen, especially DPs and directors need to be aligned on what's going on and making sure that that is a good relationship among them. I love and hate the casting process, but I love finding new talent, right? I love diving into the talent that we have and finding those gems of people that normally wouldn't get seen or haven't gotten seen yet. And I'm like, you are perfect. I'm going to hire you for this job. Giving people those opportunities. That is just a joy to me. Like I did this film 2 years ago. It's an anti-bully awareness film called From Under the Bridge. And we hired 2 actors that have never acted in a film before, ever. And they were just so much talented people. They were so talented. And we casted them and they were crying and they're just like, oh my God, this is such a great opportunity. And it's just really blossomed them. They've been able to open up and they're getting cast in more things. And it's just, that to me brings me so much joy, is just to help other creative people with becoming a part of this industry.
Totally. That journey and getting to see them like in that seed stage.
Yeah. And then just working with the team. I filmmaking is the most collaborative process I've ever encountered in my entire life. Like every single little piece needs to be aligned. Mm-hmm. And you need to have the right team and the right people. When you have the right team and the right people, they're aligned on everything and they're passionate about the story. It's just such a joy to work around that. And then to see the final product afterwards. And then you have, the audience is now engaging with what you're presenting, and everybody has a different reaction. It's like an abstract painting. Everybody has a different meaning or reaction to what you've created. And it's just so fascinating. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
And I get these highs and lows, because it's like when I'm on set, I'm like really high and I'm just like, yeah, this is great. I'm working well with all these people. And then it's over and you're like, but I want to go back on set. This was fun. Like I want to keep that momentum going, but there's always going to be ups and downs. And you're like, okay, what's the next one?
I feel like after making my film, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I need a break. I can't do this again for a very long time. And then people started seeing it. Mm-hmm. And having people see it then like infused that feedback loop of like, oh, I did make something. And that then was energizing again to want to make the next thing. Mm-hmm. And then I started writing again. And it's so interesting because you're talking about these highs and lows. And I think that is just like you get that high again and then you're like, oh yeah, this is going to spur me to the next thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd love to move on to now, like, I'm sure everyone's really excited about making their own work and like having these highs and lows. So let's talk about like who should create their own work. Who are we talking about here? Who should be doing this?
I mean, everybody. I mean, really. If you feel like this is something that you are capable of doing, just do it. I mean, I've been in this industry for such a long time. Yes, I've collaborated with people and produced things and acted in things and stuff like that, but I'm finally at the point in my life where I've actually started writing, right? And I'm going to be directing soon, my own piece. And it's just like, why is it taking me so long to get here? And I think it's because of fear, right? We have this fear of like, oh my God, people aren't going to like it, or like, I need the money, or how am I going to pull this off? Like, if you have a support system around you, if you have friends around you that you've been working with for years, trust me, they will support you in what you're doing. And you just have to believe in what you're doing. And yeah, your first project is probably not going to be the best, right? But it's a learning curve. It's practice makes perfection. But with filmmaking, there is never going to be perfection. There is always going to be things that you can't control. But sometimes when you're filming something and something happens, it actually is like a little gem that makes the film better that you would have not even like considered. So you just need to have an open mind, and you just need to dive in. But yeah, there are some people that just, they don't want to create their own stuff, right? They want to be cast in things, they want to be hired in things, and they just don't have that creative mindset, and it's very hard for them, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
You don't need to create your own work in order to be successful in this industry, but I would say that, you know, it does help. And
I would also challenge that belief about yourself. Like, I thought I was someone who couldn't make my own work.
right.
I thought that I didn't have ideas until I started making my own work, and I started working with a writer, because I was like, well, I can't write. I don't know how to write. Well, you can just hire a writer. You can just do that.
You can. Yeah. Yes,
And so
you can.
I hired Chris, and he's amazing. And I
Mm-hmm.
was working with Chris. And through working with him, he kept submitting ideas to me. And I was like, but I don't want that. No, I don't want that. And it turned out I did have opinions.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I was like, no, I actually want it to be about this thing. And I didn't know that that's what I wanted it to be about. And I was like, wait, I actually really care about the way that sex is depicted in the media. And but it took me working with him and him sending me things that I wasn't passionate about for me to realize that I was passionate about things.
Mm-hmm.
And then while working with him, I started writing with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then we ended up co-writing. And then, you know, I was searching for a director and actually talking to Cameo. Cameo was like, why don't you just direct it? You have all opinions. And I was like, do I have opinions? She's like, you have so many opinions. And I was like, oh my God. I do, but how do I direct if I'm going to be in it? And she was like, well, you turn on the camera and then you go in front of it and then you stop and you turn off the camera. I was like, oh,
yeah.
I can just direct it. And so I think there's also, like you said, there's this fear, and you can challenge that by just starting to do it. Right. And you're going to learn it. And it's going to be bad, but it's also going to be really great.
Yeah, I mean, you just never know. I mean, and if you don't have a lot of time or finances in order to put on like a whole production, then just do it on an iPhone with a few people and just explore and practice.
Yeah.
This, you know, practice doing this, and then you're just going to get better and better and better at it, and it's just fun. It's fun to play. Just play.
Just play. So I feel like we talked about how to get started a little bit in that conversation. So how much should you expect to spend on your first project?
I mean, it really depends on how big you want to go with it, right? I've done, there's a project I did recently that we shot 2 years ago. It took forever for post-production just because it's a collaborative process and nobody's getting paid. So we're working on people's own time. It's called Sheer Desperation, and it's going to be playing at the Broad Humor Film Festival September 2nd in Los Angeles. But that cost us, I think, like $600 to make.
Amazing.
And we found a park, right, that looked pretty, you know, desolate. So we didn't have to really get film permits. We're just like, let's just guerrilla style this and go film. And my friend Courtney had a script, and she wanted to do a little bit of acting. I wanted to do a little bit of acting. And so we just like grabbed a DP that we know, Gavin Murphy. And then we grabbed a sound person that we know, and we grabbed like one PA, and we're like, hey, let's go to this park and do this. And people were like, okay. And we essentially paid for food and a few post-production like stuff, and of course festival submissions.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's possible, you know, having a network of people that you can go to that just want to collaborate and make things with you is always you know, beneficial. And if you don't have that, our phones are capable of doing so many wonderful things now. You can definitely use an iPhone. I mean, me and my husband did this little short 5-minute short film during the pandemic for like this, you know, competition. And we just filmed everything on our iPhone and like with the little lights that we have. And it came out pretty cool, you know? And yeah, and it's just fun. It's just fun to create stuff.
And I think it's important to note that like things that you do on your iPhone for $500 can get into festivals and win.
Yeah. Yeah. There are festivals specifically that want films shot on your phone.
Yeah.
Or films that are like 5 minutes or less. You know, little micro films. And yeah, I highly suggest, you know, if you make something like that, submit it to a festival, you know, get that experience, you know. So it really depends on, you know, what you defined your successes for the specific project that you're trying to do. Like if you're trying to, of course, you know, get a more prestigious, you know, recognition or film festival or stuff like that, you might want to take your film a little bit more seriously and actually get like proper finance, proper production around it. But if this is something you just need to tell, you need to tell this story, or you need to just create something, go create it, you know, like put it up, put it on YouTube. You can probably get, you know, tons of people looking at it. You can probably get more work out of that. It just really depends on what your goals are for you and your story.
Totally.
Essentially.
And I would say, as a comparison to the like $500 shot on your phone thing, Aubergine was my first film. And I was working with another producer who suggested, you know, that I raise money and do crowdfunding. And I fully believed that I would be able to raise $300 at the most. And through the process, and through all of these people, these wonderful people who supported my work, we raised $18,000.
Yeah.
So like that was my first project, and we raised $18,000, and that's like, I never thought that that would be able to happen. So you can also go big, and the great thing with that is then you can like pay people, which is, you know.
Right. You might not be able to pay them their scale rates or whatever, but you can be like, hey, you know, I can pay you $100 a day. You want to work with me? Yeah. You know, and then you have, you know, some cash to get some good equipment and maybe some good locations. And then you have some cash to actually submit to festivals, because most festivals could be very expensive depending on how much you're submitting to.
And I think the thing that was really great for me on that was that I was able to hire people who were better than me, like you, who had experience and who could teach me. And so it was like being able to get that education through doing that as well was really, really great.
Yeah.
Just okay, can we talk about setting realistic goals for your film?
Yeah. So, you know, I feel like as a filmmaker, an actress, and a person in this industry, I feel like a lot of people that first come into the industry, and we've all done it. We're all naive and we're all like dreaming big, right? I've been in this industry for like 20 years now, and you know, I would have loved to have gotten to a higher status to where I am now, but my path so far has been wonderful, and I would never ever trade it for anything else. But yeah, you have to be realistic. So, you know, a lot of filmmakers are like, yeah, I'm going to make this film and it's going to get into Sundance. And it's like, have you gone to Sundance? Have you seen the films at Sundance? Have you seen what films get selected at Sundance? Like, you really need to do the homework before you set this high goal, and then you're not going to achieve it. And then you're going to, you know, your mental health state, your self-confidence is just going to deteriorate because you've put yourself at this high level goal as a beginning filmmaker or a beginning actress. And it's like, yeah, eventually you could get that way, but you need to have small tiers, small goals, right? First goal is write something. Okay. Second goal is film it. Third goal is get it done. Put it in a festival, have it screen in a festival. Awesome. Okay, next goal, next project, right? Make the next project bigger, better, you know, with a bigger goal. And then you have the next project and the next project. I was fortunate to hear a speech from Harrison Ford a long time ago at the Cinequest Film Festival. And he said, I do never take an acting project unless it's better than the last one that I had. So And that's like a really good motivation, I think, for a lot of us film people and actors and directors and writers. It's like those are the things that we have to strive for. You know, like, all right, I made this project. It went okay. I've learned these mistakes from it. I've learned this, I've learned that. Okay, I'm going to bring all of those experiences to my next project and make my next project even bigger.
100%.
But if I started off in this industry saying, yeah, I'm going to win an Oscar in like a year, right? I haven't won an Oscar. I haven't won any big achievements. Yes, I've gotten nominated for a regional Emmy, which is fantastic. But, you know, I am still trying to achieve my little tier goals in order to get to the bigger tier goal. And that is totally fine. And I think everybody's journey in this industry is different. And we have to accept that and be okay with that. There are some people that come to LA and within 2 years, they're already in like, you know, Christopher Nolan film and they're already getting big and famous and stuff like that. And it happens, not very often, but it happens. And then there's people that work in the industry for 20, 30 years or even 40 years. And then they finally get their Oscar. Then they finally get their Emmy. And it's a process. And you have to go into this industry knowing that this is a process. It's going to take time and be okay with that.
Yeah. And I love that you brought up kind of like, is it going to be Sundance? Maybe not this first time, because actually, you know, there are a lot of accolades with getting into a big festival, but that was not, for me, that was not the thing that was really exciting about festivals. The really exciting festivals was the ones that we got into were ones that were run by and celebrated by and had people who were submitted to that were my people. They were
exactly.
I want to work with. They're people who are interested in the same things that I'm interested in. And when I go and I look at like the kind of work that's going to Sundance or these bigger festivals, like I write comedy. I love comedy. And at these bigger festivals, most of the times the comedies are very dark, very dark. Not my vibe. And like I love it. It's great. I love that people are making that. But I want to meet people who are making like very over the top crazy comedies. And those aren't going to Sundance.
Yeah.
And I have to go where the people that are my people were going.
Exactly.
So much more valuable for me than going to Sundance.
Exactly. And I'm, you know, I've been to Tribeca. You know, I went to Tribeca last year for a short film that I did, and I met no connections there. No connections, you know, and just because your film, you know, and I had a film the previous year in 2020 win a awarded South by, you know, so it's like, but did that do anything for me? No, it didn't. Yeah. So it's like, yes, it's nice to get into these higher tier festivals and possibly win some awards, but it is not going to guarantee you anything beyond that. You have to continue still doing the work and putting into work in order to be successful in this industry. And I think it also depends on what you define success. Right? I'm not in this industry to become rich and famous. No, that's not why I do this work. I do this work because I am a storyteller and I want to tell stories. And I'm very passionate about that. I just want to be able to make a decent living in it. That's it. I don't need a big mansion. I don't need a fancy car. I don't need all of this lips and glamour, like all kind of stuff. I don't need that. I just want to just be able to make a comfortable living, doing what I love, and continue that. Of course, thank you. Yeah, of course, if I, you know, make these achievements and if, you know, success does come with more financial backing and more fame and stuff like that, then I have to just let that be a part of the industry, a part of the work, right? And that may come to fruition, that may not come to fruition. Yeah. But I'm not going to strive for that. I'm going to strive for just being a storyteller and being the best storyteller I can be.
Totally. 100%. Well, so we touched a little bit on going to these festivals and meeting people that you actually want to collaborate with at like smaller festivals. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about how to build out a team if you've never made your own work before? Like, how would you suggest people find the people that they might want to work with?
Yeah. I would say, you know, if you're in the very beginning stages of this industry and you have ideas or you just want to be involved with the storytelling process, best thing to do is, of course, I tell this everybody, even actors, like be a PA on set. Try to find a production that's going on in your area, an independent film, and just offer your time and volunteer and be a production assistant on set. So you can just like see what's happening on set. You can see the different departments and what they do and how they communicate with each other. And then that might motivate you to go, oh, I was on set and I saw this guy working on the camera, which is the camera assistant. Like, I was really interested in that. And then you can go and like take classes or even go to school for those specific, positions. And you would have never, kind of explored that if you didn't get on set and just kind of be there and watch what's happening. And if you have nobody to go to and you just don't know where to start, go to your local film festivals. Just go watch the films. If you really like to film, try to speak with the filmmaker afterwards and then say, hey, I'm just getting started, but if you have any more projects that you're doing, I would love to just volunteer and help you out on set.
Yeah.
Because I would just love to know how this all works, right? Just dive in. There's tons of resources. We grew up in the internet era, which is wonderful. You can research anything online and you can learn about filmmaking. You can learn the terminology. You can learn about the different positions. There's schools, there's workshops. But I would say the best thing to do is just to start meeting people. And the best way to meet people is just find film networks in your area, go to festivals, get on set, and just start talking to people.
I love that. And I would say also, as an alternative, because I did mine during the pandemic and everything was shut down and no one was filming, I used local hashtags to search for people's work on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And because I had raised money, I just started reaching out to people and asking if they wanted to work with me and if they wanted to jump on a call. Because guess what? People want to work. So if you are offering to pay people, you can find people that you love their work and you want to work with them, and pitch your idea to them and see if they're interested. So I highly recommend using hashtags and you can find local people or not local people. Also looking at other short films, like go and watch a bunch of short films, go watch a bunch of films that people are making in the indie space, and you can just reach out to those creators. You can just tell them. It's amazing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Just go to your local film festivals, because if it's a local film festival and it's a local filmmaker, then they will most likely be at that festival, and you can talk to those people. Plus, even if you don't talk to those filmmakers directly, there are a handful of creative people at those festivals, at those events. And then Facebook always has film groups that you can get involved with. There's tons of resources for people to start out.
Yeah. And the other thing is, once you hire whatever the roles, like the head roles that you're not going to do are, those people will know people that they can hire. So you don't have to think about like, oh my God, I need to hire this entire team. You just hire the heads of crew, and then they bring on the people that they love to work with. Yeah. And then those people great.
Exactly. Yeah. As a producer, I think my important job is just making sure that the director has his DP, right? But then the DP will already have his camera crew, right? Most of the time. So it's like, okay, whatever DP I hire, I know that he's going to have probably a camera crew, maybe even an electric crew as well, G&E, that he's worked with or she's worked with before, or they've worked with before, that they can just bring onto the project. And then it makes my job easier as a producer, because I'm like, okay, cool, you have 5 people you already know. Okay, great, let's bring them on board. So yeah, getting your key head people, they will have their people that they've worked with that they can just bring onto the projects, which makes it just so much easier.
We talked a little bit about budget and how much you should expect to spend. Let's assume that you want to spend more than $600 and you're going to do some fundraising. Can you talk a little bit? And I love fundraising. So
I'm in the middle of it right now.
Yeah. Can you talk a bit about the difference between like crowdfunding and finding investors, and like which one should you be looking at, and like fundraising in general?
Yeah, I mean, fundraising in general, you should be looking at both. You should be looking at private investors and also crowdfund for your campaign. And it's if you know people that want to be a private investors, investors they're going to invest a bigger chunk of money. I would say like 5 or 10 grand or maybe even more. Yeah. And they're going to want specific things. They're going to want maybe some revenue in the back end if you sell your film. They're going to want an EP credit, an executive producer credit. And these could be people that are just very passionate about you or your story that you're telling that want to help and support you. And that could be a variety of different people. I just worked on a feature film with a director, wonderful director, Austin, who's on this right now. And his grandfather, I connected with his grandfather, and his grandfather like is now an EP on my project. So it's like, you never know who you're going to meet on the next project that's going to resonate with you or your story. And you have this connection with them. And then they're like, yeah, call me when you're fundraising and let me know, because I'd be interested in helping you. And you're like, oh my God, thank you. And then, so that's really a personal thing. I think with investors, it's like you really have to know them personally, and they're going to be investing a lot of money. So you have to make sure that, this is something that you're going to take seriously, because they're taking it seriously as well. And then there's crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is, it is a full-time commitment job, and you are just emailing all your friends, all your family. You're putting content out there every day, trying to get maybe new eyeballs on it. And you're just like, hey, everybody, it's me, this person that you've known for years, and I'm actually doing something. Can you please just help and donate even just a little bit? Like little bits will just help in the whole entire process, so that you can hire your crew, you can get your locations, you can get your gear, all of these things. Because when you get to a certain level in your filmmaking career, it is a financial responsibility and a financial burden. Like, you have to make sure that you are taking care of the crew and the people that you're hiring. You might not be able to pay them a scale rate of what they normally get paid at bigger productions, but you can offer them something, right? And feed them and get the right equipment in order to enhance your film in the right locations and stuff like that. And unfortunately, it costs money. It does. So crowdfunding is a great way to go. There's tons of platforms like Seed and Spark, Indiegogo, Kickstarter that you can use to crowdfund your campaign. There's tons of resources online to learn how to crowdfund the right way, because you can't just put something up and then that's it. You have to, like for the short film I'm doing, Echoes in the Dark, which I wrote and I'm directing and I'm acting in. Trifecta. Never done that before, but I'm like, here I am doing it now after 20 years in this industry, diving in. I emailed people ahead of time and I said, this is when my fundraiser is going to launch, because you want that first initial money coming in right when you first launch. And then I emailed people the day of the launch saying, it's launched, here's the link,
Yep.
Go. And then every day since, I've been emailing people, I've been putting content on my Instagram, I've been putting content on my LinkedIn, my Facebook, all of my different platforms every day.
Totally.
Right? And it's a 45-day campaign. So you need to constantly be out. So make sure when you're doing a fundraising campaign that you have that chunk of time that you've committed to, every day I'm going to do something for this campaign.
Yes. And I will say, because I help people fundraise, crowdfund specifically, there's so many people who are like, we'll do our crowdfunder when we start production. Don't do it.
No.
Please don't do it. You're going to hate yourself. Don't do it. Fundraising is a full-time job.
Yes.
You don't want to be doing it while you're also doing 12-hour days on set. It just is not the right time. Yeah, please don't do it.
Plus, you really want to figure out what your budget is before you dive into production, right? You can't just promise these things to people or individuals and then you don't have the finances in order to support that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is very disappointing. Never ever want to be in that position, and I would never want to put someone in that position. Yeah. So do it way in advance. I mean, my shoot is not until November. I'm crowdfunding right now. My crowdfunding campaign ends October 1st. that gives me a month and a half to figure out what my budget is and put everything together. And I'm already putting my team together because I've known so many people in this industry over the years that I'm already grabbing people that are like, yeah, CJ, whatever you need, I will help you. I don't care about the money. I love your project. I love the story that you're trying to tell. I love you because you get me work all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that $3,000 job I got you last month? Well, can you come on my project for free?
Yeah.
Certain things like that, that you want to just keep on paying for with people, because eventually, you're going to want to work with those people, and those people are going to want to work with you, and you're going to give it your all, and they're going to give it their all, and it's going to be a great collaborative team and process for what you need. But yes, fundraising is a full-time thing, and you need to make sure that you have the commitment in order to do it. And there are resources that can help you properly set up your fundraising and how to fundraise properly. And there's people out there that can help you with those things.
Yeah. And I'm a people. Reach out to me.
Yeah. Reach out to Katie. She will totally help you. But yeah.
And I will also say, I think the most surprising thing about crowdfunding is that people want to give you money. People want to support your art.
They do.
The people that love you want to support your art. It's not like some crazy producer. People are always like, well, I reached out to a producer, so I think I'm going to get money. And I'm like, the producer's not going to give you money. That's not what they do. An EP, maybe, but like, no.
But you have to have a connection with those people. It's very rare if you just reach out to someone randomly and is like, I'm doing this thing, give me money.
Right.
That they're going to give you money. Yeah, you have to have some kind of authentic connection with these people. And the best thing to do, and what I've learned throughout the years, is get a fiscal sponsor, a nonprofit organization that supports filmmaking or your message or what you're doing. And every single donation that comes into your film is a tax write-off for people. And that can definitely help you get bigger investors. It could, it's not guaranteed, but it can definitely help you get bigger investors. And then you're also helping that nonprofit organization. They're going to take 6% of all of the funds that are raised for your campaign, and they're going to use that to put back into their organization and to help their nonprofit.
Yeah.
So it benefits a lot of people. Yeah. And there's tons of resources. You can go online, you can look up nonprofit fiscal sponsors for filmmakers. You can find tons of people. From the Heart Productions is a great one, and that's the one I'm working with right now. There's tons of resources to be able to fit. And it's very easy. You just fill out an application, you send them your script, your visual deck, you send them who you are, and they'll either go, okay, yes, your story, or you align with what we want to do as an organization. We want to take on this and help you with your project.
You want to do that well in advance of doing your crowdfunder, because certain ones won't work with certain crowdfunding campaigns or platforms. And there's all kinds of things like that. So you want to do it in advance of choosing where you're even going to crowdfund.
Yeah, most of them will work with any kind of crowdfunding resources, but mine, for instance, actually has their own crowdfunding platform, which is great because I'm not then collecting all the information and then giving it to my nonprofit organization so that they can do the tax write-off at the end of the year. It's all integrated into my fiscal sponsor, which is great.
So we have about 8 more minutes, so I just wanted to
okay.
But there's a couple more things that I wanted to talk about. So can you give us a quick 1 to 2 minutes on, maybe just 1 minute, 1 minute on festival strategy?
Festival strategy. Okay. So again, you have to be realistic about what festivals your film can get into. But I think the best thing to do is talk with other filmmakers that have been to certain film festivals, try to get in a sense of what festivals gear towards filmmaker friendly, what are good festivals to go to in person, depending on the theme of your film. So for Aubergine, it was all about sexual identity and sex workers and that kind of space. And there are certain festivals that have certain themes that your film will associate with. So look up those festivals, make a list, but come up with a budget of what you have, make that list, make sure that list is aligned with your film, either, you know, the mission of your film or the theme of your film, or maybe it's a film festival that someone recommended that you should go to because they made a good connection there. Make a list, make a budget. That list should have like when the festival opens, you know, the early deadline, the regular deadline, the late deadline. I highly recommend never submitting the late deadline. Always try to get the early or the regular deadline. I've ran my own film festival before. It's very hard when you get those later submissions because you're already starting to program your festival. So I highly recommend submitting before the late deadline.
For programming cost.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, and I'll say, just as an example, so for Aubergine, we submitted to like sex positive film festivals, comedy film festivals, women's film festivals, and local Bay Area film festivals. So it's about like, how do you identify as a filmmaker and where does your film fit? And those are kind of the things to look at to see which festivals are going to be best for you and who's going to like have an interest in you.
Exactly.
So for festivals, sometimes that leads to distribution, sometimes not. Can you talk about distribution expectations?
Yeah, distribution, you know, it's hard as an independent filmmaker for distribution. For short films, there are some platforms that could distribute your film. You can always do self-distribution as well, like on, you know, Amazon and iTunes and stuff like that. There's companies that you can actually pay a small fee that will actually get all of your content on those platforms. But yeah, I mean, for short films, you're, you know, as you know, with Aubergine, you're probably going to make like $5, you know, every month, you know, those certain things. You could make more depending on your content. Like if you're a very educational forward film, you can do a lot with the educational sectors. You can play at schools and colleges around the world and you can get a distribution deal based off of that. If you're just a regular short film, you know, I would say most of the online platforms is the way to go. Feature films, that's a whole other world, you know, with distribution. You definitely want to probably get a salesperson and a bigger distribution attached, try to get a theatrical run in a theater, maybe a small theatrical release, and then you would probably go to, you know, VOD and DVD and all those sorts of things. But highly recommend, if you are going to go the route in distribution, even with a short film, you're going to need a lawyer. You're going to need a lawyer to look at the distribution deal, the licensees deals, and make sure that you're not being taken advantage of, because unfortunately there are a lot of distributors that will take advantage of filmmakers and will not really help your film at all and won't help you make any money. And it's not a guarantee that you're going to make your revenue back anyways.
Totally.
But definitely make sure you're protected.
And hearing about legal stuff, you can check out my last Instagram live where I spoke with an entertainment lawyer. So definitely check that out. Cool. Well, before we go, can you talk a little bit about just like what's next for you? Anything that you're working on right now? This is the time to plug all your stuff.
Well, let's talk about self-care first, actually.
Oh, yeah.
So since I'm a big advocate about mental health, you know, this industry does come with a lot of ups and downs, does come with a lot of stress and anxiety and stuff like that. And I think as an actor and a filmmaker and a creative, we sometimes have to just say no, right? And step back and, you know, go, you know what? I need to just take a break during this time and be with myself. Maybe, you know, like I do paintings, you know, maybe I just need to just paint right now and do something else film related. So make sure you have hobbies outside of film activities. Make sure that you are paying attention to your body. And if you are getting burnt out, if you're getting too stressed out or anything like that, it is okay to step back and say, nope, I'm going to take a little break.
Yeah.
So just make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Anyways, I just wanted to say that because I think a lot of, especially actors, they feel like they need to do everything and anything and just be out there and do this and do that. And it's like, yeah, but you're going to burn yourself out and it's really going to hurt you in the long run. And you don't need to do everything. You can pick and choose the projects that you do. You really can.
Totally. And I have been saying no a lot this year. I've been learning to say no. And I put this little sticker up on my wall. It says,
it's backwards.
Your success is inevitable. And that is my like, it like allows me to say no to things because I'm like, it's okay. That thing's not for me, but my stuff is coming.
Right.
No.
Right.
Great.
Yeah, so I would say if you feel that overwhelming stress coming, then just step back, breathe, and figure out what's causing that, and make a decision on if you want to pursue something. Because like I get overwhelmed with so many projects all the time, and sometimes I have to tell people, no, I'm sorry, I can't work on your project because I really want to try to help you, but I'm just too overwhelmed with so many other stuff that I need a break.
Yeah.
I need a mental just break. Make sure you're taking care of yourself mentally, please. It's very important. But what I'm working on next, I like I said earlier, I just wrote my very first short screenplay. Oh my God, crazy. And I am going to direct it as well because after writing it, I was talking about the film, and I just have so many visual ideas that I
Mm-hmm.
want to do with it that I'm not comfortable just handing it to someone else to direct. I'm like, nope, I need to do it. Okay. And then you know, I'm an actress. I haven't acted in a really long time because I have been pursuing my producing career, and I'm kind of like getting that, you know, lull of like I need to act in something creative. And so I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna act in my own screenplay. Why not? Like this is a role that I can totally do. This is a role that I've always kind of wanted to do and portray. And so I'm like, I'm doing it. Okay, let's do it. So that's what I'm working on right now. I'm currently fundraising for it. It's called Echoes in the Dark. If you want to learn more about it, it's Instagram, Echoes in the Dark Films, or film. And I'm currently fundraising. So if you want to help and support in any kind of way, even just volunteer on set, I can use it. But yeah, I'm really excited about this project, nervous and excited at the same time. But I'm really excited to explore directing and screenwriting. And
Okay. Questions.
yeah,
Where is it filming?
Los Angeles.
What is the log line?
Logline. So, because I don't want to go on a tangent, I will read what I wrote.
Please. The official log
I will
line.
read the official logline, or I'll say the synopsis. But the film is about a woman named Sarah who is struggling with the loss of her fiance, and her mind is being plagued by happy memories that are being twisted and distorted, and driving her mental state darker, darker, darker. You know, how I describe it to people is, you know how we're going through a really rough time, and we have this person in our head, this figure that's ourselves telling us that we're worthless, or you know, we shouldn't continue on or whatever. And we have to constantly be battling that person in our brain.
Mm-hmm.
And this is essentially bringing light to that identity in our brain in a very interesting way of dealing with the loss of somebody, and that depression and that grief that you go through, and bringing this identity out in front like it's a nightmare, and it's
Yeah.
in front of you and it is dragging you down, and how are you going to fight this? So that's essentially what I'm trying to do with my
Nice.
film.
In the mental health theme.
In the
Mhm.
mental health thing. Yes.
And then is
Yes.
there a link in your bio for your fundraiser?
There is. If you go into my Instagram bio right now, it will link you directly to my fundraising campaign, and you can learn more about the film.
Okay. And
Yeah.
how longer do you have in your campaign?
I think it's 40 days. Yeah, I have a 45
Okay,
day campaign.
so you just started.
Kind of just started. I'm at 10% right now. I would like to be more, but you know, it is what it is. I'm still pushing every day, but I have confidence that I will get there. But yeah, you can
Perfect.
learn more about the film.
Wonderful. Well, Thank you so much for joining me. I think I hope we inspired some people to start their own projects.
Yes.
And I can't wait to hear about them. And I will see you on the internet.
Yes. See you there.